Hi guys, Hardy here. In this video, I will be talking about PlayStation 5 features, and without any delay, let's start the video. Let's get the specs out of the way first. PlayStation 5 will use a CPU based on AMD's 3rd generation 8-core Ryzen processor, along with a custom GPU based on the Radeon Navi line and a new 4K Blu-ray player with support for optical disc up to 800GB. The console will also use a custom 825GB SSD which has a read bandwidth of 5.5 Gbps. The Zen 2 based CPU will have 8 cores, 16 threads and an upcap of 3.5 GHz. The RDNA 2 based GPU will also boast 36 compute units and a cap at 2.23 GHz or 10.3 teraflops, which can load a staggering 2 GB in 0.27 seconds. The PlayStation 5 will also support some M.2 SSDs after the launch and will also support external hard drives for game storage. The PlayStation 5 will launch in two variants, a normal version with a 4K Blu-ray disc reader and a cheaper digital version. I have covered the whole topic in detail along with price and launch dates in this video right here. So let's start our countdown. Number 1. Backwards compatibility. So finally we have backwards compatibility for PlayStation. What this means is the games released on PlayStation 4 can be played on PlayStation 5 as well. So don't worry if you have a plethora of PlayStation 4 game CDs in your collection. You can play those games on PlayStation 5 as well. Sony had to bring this feature to PlayStation 5 as more than 110.4 million PS4 copies have been sold and most of them still use discs. And bringing in a new console that does not run older games would turn away many of the 110.4 million potential buyers out there. Sony says 99% of PlayStation 4 games will be available for PlayStation 5. Number 2. Native 4K and 8K TV support. PlayStation 5 will support native 4K output, and if you have a 4K monitor or a 4K TV, you can take full advantage of PlayStation 5's horsepower. But that's not where the story ends. PlayStation 5 will also support 8K resolution output. Mostly an upscale technique, but better than no 8K support at all. So if you have an 8K display, you are in luck and you won't be disappointed. Number 3. SSD and custom integrated I/O. This is the most exciting feature of them all in my opinion, as having a high-speed SSD, 5.5 Gbps to be exact, can make a hell lot of difference. The devs no longer need to rely on available RAM and worry about loading a million polygons, as the custom integrated I/O lets the devs pull the data directly from the SSD and will make a huge difference in how they design a game. Basically this means virtually no load times and a denser and more detailed world for better immersion. Number 4. Tempest engine or 3D audio. Tempest engine is a dedicated sound processing chip which uses a completely re-engineered AMD graphics chip to process audio from hundreds of in-game sound sources, thus delivering elevated 3D audio without the need for an expensive multi-speaker setup. Stereo and surround sound have their own unique advantages, but for gaming, nothing beats 3D audio. In simple terms, 3D audio allows you to hear sound as if they were happening around you. It puts you, the gamer, in center stage. Whereas earlier gaming consoles simulated 3D audio by increasing the volume of an effect as your on-screen character moved closer, 3D audio deploys timed effects using a host of clever audio algorithms to create natural, true-to-life soundscapes that trick your brain into pinpointing the precise location of each and every sound. PlayStation 5 uses object-based spatial sound technology to create 3D audio. It's an expansion of technology used in the PSVR, which is capable of replicating 50 sound sources, and the PS5 bumps that to hundreds of intricate sounds and in better quality as well. Number 5. Duelsense controller. I'm so excited for Duelsense controller, mainly due to the haptic feedback technology Sony has integrated into it. To help you understand, electronic devices have two ways to effectively communicate with you: sight and hearing. But haptic feedback changes this by simulating the sense of touch. Not only can you touch a device, but the device can touch you back as well. This is much different than a rumble or a vibration in your phone. Haptic feedback is a mode of communication rather than a specific technology or application. In short, it will mimic the feel of mud, sand, air, water, different surfaces, and you will be able to differentiate between each of them. It's the next level of immersion. But that's not it. Duelsense controller also has adaptive triggers, which means the trigger buttons will have different levels of force and pressure you will be able to feel the difference of pulling a trigger on a pistol as opposed to pulling a trigger on a sniper rifle, and feel the trigger tighten as you pull the handbrake of a vehicle in the game. It also has a built-in microphone and a headphone jack along with a create button, which is the share button in a new and shiny avatar, by the way. It will also come with familiar features of previous generation controllers such as built-in speakers, batteries, and motion sensors. Number 6. Ray tracing. Ray tracing is an advanced method of illuminating 3D environments. With ray tracing, light sources cast out linear rays of light which then bounce off the surface and hits another onto another until it reaches your eyes or the camera view in the 3D environment. Another factor ray tracing accounts for is the fact that different surfaces like glass or water will reflect, refract, and absorb light differently. These calculations lead to a more accurate representation of how light works in the real world. Areas obstructed by objects and blocked from light rays are properly darkened as a result, meaning proper shadows. And a scene's illumination looks more realistic. Ambient light can also affect the darkness of shadows as the ray tracing accounts for this too. Not every shadow is pitch black due to varied environmental illumination. This is truly the next gen tech for visual graphics in gaming, and to include it in a 499.99 console is a feat achieved. Number 7. 120 FPS and 120Hz output. Few years back we didn't even discuss about locked 60 FPS games on console, and in 2020 120 FPS on console has finally become a reality. Just to make it simpler, current gen console run at 30 FPS, which means 30 frames per second, and PlayStation 5 pushes it to 120, which means 4 times the frames in same duration of 1 second. This makes visuals smooth and gives better response times. For me, FPS is more important than the resolution. So if you have a monitor that has a 120Hz display, you can fully take advantage of this leap. Even if you have a normal 30 or 60 FPS display, you can still see the difference in the movements and overall smoothness in the visuals. Number 8. Exclusive titles. Maybe the biggest feature of PlayStation 5 and PlayStation as a platform are the exclusive titles that come with it. You just can't play games like God of War, Bloodborne, Uncharted, and such other elsewhere. Sony has a humongous array of studios that churn out excellent and blockbuster exclusives every now and then, which makes buying a PlayStation all the more satisfying. Having all the features you can possibly have in a console but no good games to play on it does not even make sense. And this is the biggest reason I believe Sony has always stayed ahead of the curve when it comes to gaming. So this was my list of the features that stand out the most in PlayStation 5. Let me know your thoughts on it, comment below, and make sure to subscribe because I am covering the PlayStation 5 segment on this channel regularly.